You've got likes, obviously. You also have comments. But there are two more engagement signals that I look at that a lot of people don't. When someone saves a post, and when someone actually takes action to visit your profile. So that's the first step. Look at all those engagement signals, add them up, and then divide them by the reach. I'll show you an example of where to find this in a second, so just keep that for a moment. The second step is then to grade every post that you've done over the last 3 months. This goes back to being a practitioner and how important it is. It's one thing to pontificate and imagine hypothetically what you could be doing on social, but until you actually do it, you won't know if you're good at it or if you suck at it, and then you can't get better at it because you don't do it in the first place. So you've got to have at least, hopefully, 3 months worth of data posting at different times, posting different types of content, and seeing how your audience reacts to it. And then the third step is to reverse engineer the good and the bad. Do more good, do less bad. Here's an example. So this is an Instagram post from last Monday, about a week ago. So we've got a bunch of different engagement signals. This post has 503 likes, 65 comments, 14 saves, it was at 66 visits to the profile. So if I add up all those numbers, I get 648 engagement points. And this specific post reached about 7,500 people. If I take all those engagement points and I divide it by the reach, I get 8.65. So that is the score that I would give this post, 8.65. Now, what's really helpful about this formula is that it doesn't overly focus on likes. It can be really easy to fall in love with the likes and then overlook some of the more important metrics, such as like visits to a profile or a saved post or even a comment. And here's a great way to illustrate that. Here is a post that's also from last week. And look, it only has half as many likes because it sucked and everyone hated it, right? Well, if you're using this formula and you look a little bit deeper, it only had 9 comments, only 3 saves. So these are all way less. But it had 119 visits to my profile. And that type of action is so much more valuable than a double tap. And so when I do all this, 8.43 was this score. If all I had done was look at the likes, I would have thought, that post was half as good as my other post. Well, actually, this one was almost just as good. And one way that you can take this formula, and if you're nerdy like me, take it even one step forward, is you can weigh each of these metrics differently, proportionally, based on how important they are to you. So for instance, a comment might be twice as much more valuable to you than a like, because it requires that much more from your audience. A visit to your profile might be 3 times as more valuable than a like. And so I get into my spreadsheets and I start adding all this stuff up. You don't need to do that. You can start with a simple formula like this: engagement divided by reach. That's the first step. Do it for all of your posts, and then rank them chronologically. Most well-performing posts at the top, least performing posts at the bottom. And then what you do is you got to put on your thinking cap. Look at the top 10 posts over the last 3 months. What was it about them that performed well? And what's amazing about this formula is it's unique to your audience. It's not unique to my audience, it's the data that your audience is telling you. Remember at the beginning of this talk, I talked about how audience is so important. Maybe if you heard any of my Q&As, it's me, audience, 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 give them value. They're telling you what they like and what they don't like with their behavioral actions, and these social media platforms are storing it all for you and saying, here's all the data if you want it. And now you can use this simple formula to get reliable feedback based on what you're doing.
Yes.
Do more of the good, do less of the bad. Simple?
Yes. Woo!
All right. Strategy number 2. Okay, this is, before I go to strategy number 3, I promised myself